A word that I've only recently, sort of, I say recently in the last 10 years, heard for somebody that works in a bookmaker's telephone centre or whatever, is a trader. Now, what is the difference between a trader and somebody that just answers the phone and puts the bets in the book at the price that's advertised?
I think there's plenty of people out there that would say, yeah, that's one of the finest questions you've ever asked. Yeah, I suppose it's a fancy term, isn't it? Part of the trading that I did when I was, in sports betting, what you would call as a trader, is you're compiling the odds to start with, you're making the markets, you're getting them displayed and put out there, you're taking the bets, and you're seeing the bets come in now. So you actually have trackers where you can see all the bets that are coming in, and then you're adjusting your market according to the field book and according to the changes in the exchange betting and what the punters are after. So to some degree, that's what you are doing. You are like listening to what the punters are saying. Once you've set your prices, ultimately they're out of your hands to the degree that the punters then decide. They decide what shortens up and they decide what goes out. Using golf as an example, because it's something that I was mostly involved with for the last sort of 8 or 10 years, you'll get tipping lines and you'll get blogs and you'll get people on Twitter and trade press. All of those things affect the market, so you have to be on top of it and you have to be adjusting prices. Now, I would never shorten something up just because it was tipped up somewhere. I'd want to still lay the price, and I would never shorten it up just because it was shortening up on the exchange. I'd still want my share of what my prices were. To what degree you have the confidence to lay those prices depends on the market and how good your boss is, I suppose, if you're a trader. I mean, I was fortunate to work with some people that for a long time that had a lot of confidence in what you were doing and would back you. And if you went to them and said, this is why I want to be this price and this is how much I want to take out of it, if you had the right reasons why you were doing it, I mean, I don't know why I should want to burden myself by dragging it up, but Tiger Woods Hoylake 2005 was my nemesis. It was the worst time for me in my 30 years of trading. He'd come into the tournament not playing fantastically well, but particularly with the driver. He was hitting it pretty wayward. The forecast was quite bad. All the stories with the rough was quite long. So we decided to take Tiger on 6-1. And I'd been to my boss and trading director and said, this is how we want to do it. This is how I want to do it. And he backed me. And, we laid some serious bets, plenty of 5-figure bets, and we were happy to take them on. I won't go through the dreadfulness of it in case I start crying, but he hit one driver all week into the rough and still made birdie. It was as dry as you like. The fairways were wide. There was hardly any rough. He was hitting it straight down the middle with 3 irons and stingers, and he went on, won by a couple of shots. We'd been clear top price at 6-1. We'd done £3 million, and I think if it wasn't for the fact that I had such good guys who were my bosses at the time, Patrick J and Mike O'Kane, that would have probably been the end of my tenure at the company. But thankfully we got past it. But you still have to take an opinion, and when the time's right, lay the bets.
Well, golf betting is very popular, so I want to stay on the go for a bit. One of my previous interviews, Jeremy Chapman.
Yeah,
so he's looking at the same. Yes, he is looking at the same form book in inverted commas as you.
Yeah,
similar to the racing.
Yeah.
So Jeremy obviously sees quite a lot that other people don't see, given his prowess for tipping winners. What factors would you be looking for? You can be as anarchy as you like about this, because people are interested in golf betting. What would you be looking for when you're pricing up? What positives?
Well, let me say now, for golf punters, it's never, it's a real utopia for them now. There's so much information online available. When I first started doing it, to getting that sort of information, we used to have to keep manual sheets of, form and previous years' golf weeklies. You'd drag out the last 5 years of a golf weekly magazine that had that tournament in. But now there's so much information of course form, current form, and there's so many tools and predictor tools that for a punter, if you go online and look up, it's free. Loads of them are free. There's some paid sites, which is absolutely fine. People putting in a lot of work, and why should they give their information away free, but there's plenty out there that you can get. Every single piece of information you need to know is out there. So the type of course it is, the course designer, whether players have won in a certain month of the year, greens in regulation, strokes gained. You can build your own predictor models and put in as much information as you want. Course form, current form, they're the two big factors. But then you're factoring in what are the punters going to be looking for. That's where your sort of skill, I suppose, as an odds compiler comes. As an example, you'll get someone who's played really well and you've watched him the previous week and he's 100 to 1 shot and he's played quite well and you've noted it and you've seen him, you know, if he hit, maybe hold a few more putts he could have been up there, but he sort of crept up the leaderboard, improved every day. Then you look at next week, he's in a similar field, same sort of standard of field, but he's a player you want to keep on your side. And then you look at the course form and say, oh, he's got 3 top 10s here in the last 5 years. And oh, he's played well on Poana or bent grass before, and suddenly you factor in, you're seeing 4 or 5 different things. So you say, oh well, I was going to keep him on my side at 50, I might have to go 40 here, and then you see another bit, and suddenly you think, well, everyone's going to be looking for this guy, I know now, so I'll go 33. So you put your prices out and you're 33. By the time I'd done my prices, there might be 2 other firms out with prices, one's 25 and one's 28. So I've gone 33. Obviously, this time on a Monday, Betfair doesn't have as liquid a market, but I would never look at it when I put my prices out originally. And suddenly you're top price at 33. And then you'll see some punters or tipsters or bloggers, he's their number 1 pick or their headline pick. What I would say to those people and to those punters, and everyone does it their own way, but this guy was 100 to 1 last week and he's in a similar field, and I factored in, I already know all those things that you say, that when you're doing your write-ups, whether it's in the media or online, and you're putting in all those factors, I've already put them in as well. I know all those as well. That's why he's 33 to 1 and not 100 to 1. My question to them would be, what price do you make him to be putting him up at 33? If you make him 20, then fair enough. But I think a great thing for punters and just a normal punters to do was price things up yourself. You price it up, it's not a smoke and mirrors thing. Literally, you'll be surprised once you start doing it, whatever it is, football, tennis, golf, horse racing, start pricing things up yourself and you'll be surprised once you've done it a few times how easy it is and how more proficient you become at it. And I guarantee you'll become a better punter for doing it.
Because there's a lot of people, like I said before, interested in golf betting. So a lot of the firms are getting very competitive to get those customers in. And you see up to like 10 places for a golf tournament. How many places would start getting, it's a bit 50-50 whether it's still in your favour or not? How far can they, should a punter start stepping in when he sees a certain amount of places
how many places do I think before it starts becoming bad value for a bookmaker? 5. I remember the first time we went from a quarter the odds, the first 4 to the first 5. It was on the week of the Open, and it was a decision I'd made with my trading director at the time. The week before, we used to bet at the Scottish Open at Loch Lomond. We'd had dinner there one evening, and I said, why don't we try and go extra place next week? And we waited till Hills and Corals had printed their coupons of a quarter to 4 that were going to be in the shops on the Monday, and then we went a quarter to 5, and it was a headline page on the back page of the Racing Post, Ladbrokes take plunge. It seemed ridiculous now to think that going 5 places was headline news, but amongst the big bookmakers at the time it was. Now you see, I reckon if you went to every trading firm, every firm in the country and asked the odds compilers or the traders what they think about going 10 places, I can guarantee you what their answers would be. That's got nothing to do with trading, it's got nothing to do with bookmaking, it's got everything to do with marketing and PR and acquisition of new customers. You can't make money if it's your intention to make a winning book on the Open or the Masters by going 10 places, you've literally got no chance whatsoever. As a bookmaker, it used to drive me mad because I was very much, that's my money, even though it was the company's money. I viewed it as, that's my money you're taking, and I really felt like that. And for 50 weeks of the year, when you're working as hard as you can to try and make your figures add up, your profit and loss add up to make a good book, and then for 2 weeks of the year it was sort of taken out of your hands and, well, we're going 8 places or we're going 7 places. I think most recently it's been noticed that I think punters might have suffered slightly, because whereas firms would be betting over broke by 300, 400, 500% on the place book, I think the win book for some of the recent tournaments where extra places have been offered, has the percentages have gone up from 130, 140, 150, 160, 170. So the margins on the win book is suffering because you're trying to protect the place book all the time. It's great for punters ultimately with all these places, but I don't, it's a race to the bottom of the sea for me.
Okay, and finally on golf, you bet in play. So
Yes.
was that part of your remit to price up in play?
Yeah, I used to bet in play. Eventually, as everyone became more specialised, we had people that just did that, and I just tend to bet in play on the bigger tournaments. All you're really doing then is trying to. I thought golf was the hardest tournament, the hardest sport to bet in play on as a trader, because if you're betting in play on the football or the tennis or the snooker, you can see the ball. You can see the ball the whole time. The whole 90 minutes of the game, you can see the ball. At golf, there's 80 balls in play and you can only ever see one of them. That's what I used to tell my trading director when I did some money in anywhere. So it's the hardest sport in the business to try and bet on in play. It is difficult. You're constantly trying to battle against the leaderboard, and someone's had an eagle, someone's had a birdie. When we first started doing it, I used to travel around all the courses in the country. When you used to have like 8 or 10 tournaments in this country at St Mellion and Woburn and Wentworth and the Forest of Arden and Hanbury Manor and St Pierre in Chepstow, I used to actually go around to the courses. It was great fun at the time because you used to get bookmakers on the course as well, and this was when you had to pay tax in the betting shops. Because the bookmakers set up on the courses were deemed on course, it was NT, so you used to get all sorts of shenanigans and sharks and that standing in front of the leaderboard, running in and out to the betting shop on those great big brick mobile phones that you had to have a thing. Great fun to be there, and really enjoyable time to doing it. But you were literally relying on teletext and someone at the course ringing the scores back to you, you making the changes, ringing them to the studio or ringing them somewhere. 10 minutes between someone having a birdie and changing the price. But now obviously you've just got to be very much on the ball. Maybe it's a younger man's game.
Okay, so finally on that, in the current medium, the current sort of state of affairs, is it a good medium for punters? Have they got a chance of making it pay?
Well, absolutely, because as I've said before, someone is trying to keep on top of numerous markets and numerous players and numerous things out on the course, and you've only got to try and find 1 or 2 bits and pieces of value. So the fact that things are on TV now all the time gives you a great opportunity, and nothing that isn't available to you as a punter is available to the bookmaker. So you're watching it in the same time they are. They've not got a faster feed on the cricket than you're watching the cricket. They're not got some 20 people at the golf course telling them what's going on. Everyone, they're watching the same pictures that you are, and you can pick and choose where you bet. So it's great for punters at the moment. Absolutely, yeah.